My major and what is my long-term career goals? So first, my major is chemical engineering, and one of my long-term career goals is to work in industry first, and then eventually, hopefully, return to school to get my MBA. One of the things that I personally strive to do is to be a leader of every team I'm on, and I want to continue my education to allow me to hopefully be an engineering manager in the future or a project manager. I try to make myself as well-rounded as possible, and this is something I try to do both with my education and my extracurricular activities. Personally, I am interested in a lot of different industries in the chemical engineering field. The ones that stand out to me the most are consumer products, so working with products such as shampoo, deodorant, other things that people use, medical devices, and then also the food and beverage industry. Last summer, I actually got the opportunity to work in a fab in Chandler with a semiconductor company, and I really appreciated the opportunity. And I found that work really rewarding as it was really challenging, but it also allowed me to know that I was making a difference into everyone's daily life and also making products that can impact people's safety and reliability, which is something else I found really rewarding and something that I want to continue in the future. I cannot stress enough how much getting an internship or getting some sort of extracurricular engineering experience is so important, and it really adds a value in your next career path and what you decide to do next. So, getting real world experience really in anything is so important because it's important to figure out what you dislike just as much as you want to figure out what you are passionate about. If you find something in an internship, let's say you went into mechanical, chemical, industrial engineering for one thing and you get an internship in it, and then you find out that's not what I thought it was, that gives you the next step into thinking, what else might you be interested in? Getting an internship and real world experience outside the classroom is very valuable on your resume for all intents and purposes. Getting that first internship, hopefully your sophomore year, is going to allow you that stepping stone to get when you're junior and hopefully full time job. It is very difficult to go into the full time job search without having these really crucial things on your resume like a lot of other students would have. At the end of the day, it is a competition. So you have to show that you yourself are out there trying to find the experience as well. Adding these experience ultimately, like I said previously, makes you a more well-rounded candidate, and it highlights not only your technical skills that you're learning in the classroom, but also your soft skills as well. You don't want to just list your soft skills on a resume and hope someone believes you. You want to be able to prove them through the bullet points. And you get these bullet points by getting these experiences through internships, extracurriculars, and research opportunities. So I can't stress enough finding something that fits best for you and starting early. Do not wait until your junior, senior year. Start this search freshman year, sophomore year, and see just what's out there and kind of get your toes wet, for lack of better words. Find what's out there, find what interests you, and make it happen. So how I got my internships, first of all, I had two internships as of in the past. The first one I got applying straight off of Google my sophomore year, which can be kind of unusual to get one year sophomore year and finding it straight off of the internet like Google. I just typed in chemical engineering internships, and I didn't at the time know anything that I was doing. I just knew that I wanted experience in something, and so I kind of just applied to anything that I thought I was qualified for. I found out that I got the job rather quickly after applying, which again is not usual. I think I just got really lucky with the company that wanted to take a chance on me. I do think that me joining Epics and working for that organization and being able to prototype things and kind of show that I do have soft skills and technical skills is what allowed me to get it my sophomore year, because I did do that really early on my freshman year. My second one I actually found also unusual as well. I was attending a rapid resume review session, and I was working I work at the Career Center. And this is an event that is usually held by the Fulton Career Center twice a year, pre-COVID. And I showed one of my reviewers my resume, and he asked if I wanted to speak to his manager, which I was like, sure. I had no idea what the company was. This was definitely not expected. And I ended up getting the job after a few interviews, which is not, again, not a traditional way of getting an internship. But you can't ever underestimate the power of connections, finding people that you might never have met, or finding opportunities that if you don't go to, you don't know what might happen. Sometimes people might not go to career fairs because they don't think anything's going to come of it, but you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know if someone at that career fair 3 years down the line will remember you, and that's going to make or break your chance at a company. So you really just have to take every opportunity as you can, make the most out of it, do the best you can. And I cannot underestimate enough, apply to a lot of jobs and internships. It is not just a one and done situation. Even for both years, I applied to a lot, probably 60 to 80. And it's hard. It's definitely a full-time job applying for a job, but it is worth it and rewarding in the end. I've had a lot of setbacks, and I think that's something that everyone does at least run into at some point in time in their job search or in their job careers. So, one of the things that I definitely struggled with is I've had a lot of rejection. Like I said in a previous video, that about each semester I was applying anywhere from 60 to 100 jobs. And I would say 95% never get back to you. And if they do, it's usually a rejection. And it's truly a numbers game at some points. You're hoping your resume does not end up in the black hole dark web, so to speak, because usually it is getting read through a computer first before it ever gets to a human. So even this semester, I'm currently a senior. Finding a full-time job was a lot harder than I honestly anticipated. I had a couple of internships going into the full-time job search. I had a lot of on-campus activities, a lot of leadership experience. And a lot of my companies that I wanted to apply to, like my previous internships, didn't have any jobs open because of COVID, which maybe it's a different scenario than I would have been in 5 years if I was graduating 5 years ago pre-COVID. But you have to work with the circumstances that you're given. And one of the things you don't want to use, and I will just say this because I've heard it a lot, don't use COVID as an excuse. I know it can be really hard in these challenging times just to kind of want to sit back and just kind of hope everything passes. But you have to keep moving. We don't know how long we're going to be in this. So keep moving, keep going, and don't use COVID as an excuse of why you're not finding anything. There's plenty of things out there now as this has become our new norm. And a lot of companies are looking to hire students. So whether that be for virtual, remote, or on site, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And I really encourage you guys to still take the ones that are available. Because no, I didn't have any jobs open with my previous internship, it can be hard going into your senior year, starting from scratch, looking for even full-time job. It's faced with the real fact that, I see a lot of people that potentially graduate and don't have a job right before graduation. That's just a fact of how the internship/job search works. And if you're setting yourself up for success your freshman year, you're gonna have a much better time come your senior year rather than you start late in the game. So that's why I encourage you guys to apply to a lot, apply early, and get started before it is needed so you're not stressed out. So one of the unconventional aspects of me getting accepted into an internship, like I kind of said previously, is I met my second internship recruiter at a rapid resume review, which is a Fulton brought on vet. Something similar could be something like finding a recruiter at a career fair that you guys really click. Like I said, this is one of those opportunities is I never went into rapid resume review expecting anything of that nature. I was going there, one, to work, and then two, just to have my resume looked at by some recruiters, get some tips, nothing of any other means. I didn't have an internship lined up at the time. This was in, I think, October of the fall. So I was open to new opportunities, but I definitely didn't think anything would come from it because usually it doesn't. But like I said, this is something where you only miss the opportunities that you didn't take. So I'm glad I went. I'm glad I spent the extra time. I'm glad I took the precursor and printed out my resumes because you never know what may happen. So you might as well try everything you can. If it still doesn't happen, you did your best shot and you never know what could happen. So I recommend taking every opportunity you think there is even a potential for you to gain something out of, even if you're not sure what you're going to gain from it, just because you can never know how that can help you in the future. I think what made me stand out or be unique in front of recruiters is, and what I would recommend is I've been very involved at ASU, whether that be engineering activities or leadership around ASU. There's a lot of activities you can take at such a big university. There's so many different things, no matter what you're interested in, that you can really find something that fits and suits you. I think a combination of my leadership skills that I've gotten since sophomore year, you being a UGTA, getting involved in epics, doing a section leader position, working with entrepreneurship and innovation school really made me stand out because I had all this leadership experience. I've had all this experience working with students. And because of this, I really got to develop my soft skills and certain accreditations that you won't get necessarily in the classroom, like speaking, like being able to work in teams. And I think this is something that people get to see on your interview process and also on your resume of everything you've gotten to accomplish. I think the biggest step back that people do is they have their resume and they have all the academic projects that everyone else in their major has already done. And so there's nothing to make them stay apart. The GPA is not a big enough factor anymore. It's been proven that recruiters rather see extracurricular activities than an extremely high 4.3 GPA. As long as you have a decent GPA, somewhere in the 3 range, and you're doing those extracurricular activities, you're gonna be much more marketable than someone that has a 4.3 and has done literally nothing. So don't stress about the GPA too much. It definitely makes academics your first priority, but then also make sure you're getting involved early and make sure you're broadening your horizons so you can be a well-rounded individual. My biggest tip or advice for students trying to find a similar internship or a similar job is I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's an easy process. Finding a job is a full time job. At least now in today's market, there is so much competition with other engineers, with other fields, that you really have to make sure that you are putting your best foot out there your entire 4 years. College is not just about academics, it's really about developing yourself as a person and displaying that for the rest of your life. Also, make sure you're meeting with the career coaches, obviously, to get your resume polished and professional. We have all pretty much have done this before, and we all pretty much have internships that we've gotten previously or in one now. So we really know what to look out for, and we know how to help you guys. Make sure you're doing something outside of your classes. I don't care necessarily what it is. If it is engineering related, all the better. But if it's something that is broadening your skills, giving you soft skills, that is great. If you don't have the exact thing, it's the same thing as another student, you're going to stand out more. If you're not involved, how are you going to stand out on your resume? And lastly, this is not a requirement. It's obviously a recommendation of what I have found works, but you have to apply to a lot of internships. Obviously, there's going to be those people that just apply to a few and get them. There's always that possibility. But in my experience, even as someone who has been heavily involved, I don't just apply to a couple here and a couple there. I apply to anywhere from 60 to 100 range. I like to apply to things I'm interested in, but sometimes, if you take a chance on something that maybe you're not sure if you're going to be interested in, you might really like it, and then you find out a new thing about yourself. Again, just because you have an engineering degree does not mean you are guaranteed to find a job. No one is going to come to your house and hand you a job on a silver platter. You have to work for it. This is not something that is going to be an easy process, but like I said in my previous videos, it's going to be well worth it. You're going to be deserving of it, and you're going to feel a lot better that you actually found one and that you're able to graduate with a job already lined up and something to look forward to. So again, start early, find out what you're passionate about, maybe find out what you don't like, and then go from there and get involved early.